Approx. 1,250 words. Simple English. Third person. Violated free. The Varuan research vessel, Lunaris, floated silently in the dark space between two quiet star clusters. It was supposed to be a simple science mission. Nothing dangerous. Nothing unusual. The Varuan were a peaceful species. They studied stars, minerals, and old space ruins. They avoided conflict. They avoided anything aggressive. They believed the galaxy was mostly gentle if one stayed away from dangerous borders. But that belief shattered within a single hour. A Dravik raider fleet appeared from behind a cluster of asteroids. The Dravik were known as hunters, bullies, and pirates of the outer systems. Their ships were built for intimidation, sharp, black, heavy with weapons. The Lunaris was not built for war. It had thin armor and escape pods that barely worked. The moment the Dravik opened fire, the Varuan crew panicked. One blast cracked their shields. Another tore through the outer hull, shaking the entire ship. Inside, sparks fell from the ceiling. The lights flickered. Crew members held onto panels as alarms screamed in every direction. Captain Raltine, a gentle Varuan with soft blue skin and nervous eyes, tried to keep calm. He shouted over the noise, "Everyone stay steady. Damage team, report." But the reports were all bad. Reactor shielding damaged. Medical wing hit. Engines failing. The Lunaris shook again, as another shot struck directly near the engines. Raltine felt his stomach twist. If the engines died completely in open space, they would drift until the end of time. He finally gave the order he never wanted to give. Send a distress call to any nearby ship. Anyone who can hear us. The communication officer hesitated. "Captain, are you sure? If the wrong species hears it?" Raltine closed his eyes. "We have no choice." The officer nodded and activated the beacon. A small, glowing signal shot into the endless dark, traveling far across space, repeating the same message. Varuan research ship requesting rescue. Hull breach. Multiple injured. Immediate help needed. The Dravik didn't stop firing. They wanted the Varuan ship disabled, so they could board it. The Varuan were known for carrying delicate minerals and rare samples. Easy prey, but then something unexpected happened. A long-range sensor beeped. The communication officer checked the screen and froze. His pale face darkened. "Captain, someone is answering our call." Raltine felt a small wave of hope. "Who is it? A Yora healer ship? A Ven diplomat cruiser?" The officer swallowed. "No, Captain. The signal signature. It is from them." "Who?" He slowly turned. "Humans." The entire bridge went silent. Every Varuan knew the stories. Humans were Deathworlders. They came from a planet filled with storms, predators, volcanoes, and diseases that killed stronger species. Humans were tough, fast, stubborn, and sometimes frightening. Their warships were built like floating iron mountains. Their soldiers were known for bravery that almost looked like madness to peaceful species. For the Varuan, who lived in calm, gentle environments, humans were difficult to understand. They were not cruel, but they were dangerous simply by existing. "Humans," Raltine whispered. "Are you certain?" "Yes, Captain. A Terra Union vessel has changed course. They are coming straight to our location." Fear mixed with confusion. The crew exchanged nervous looks. The navigation officer quietly asked, "If they reach us, what will they do?" No one had an answer. Far across the stars, the human vessel Solace 3 raced through space at high speed. Captain Jordan Hale stood on the command bridge, studying the distress signal. His brown hair was messy, his uniform slightly worn, and a fading scar stretched across his left jaw, an old reminder from a rough mission years ago. But his eyes were sharp and steady. Humans had a strange quality. They always looked ready, even when they weren't. "Time to arrival?" Jordan asked. 7 minutes, replied his pilot. Jordan nodded. "Prep medical kits and repair drones. We're going to need both." Another crew member looked up from his station. "Sir, the coordinates place the Varuan ship in a hostile zone. Dravik raiders have been active there. Jordan didn't hesitate. Then we move faster. Humans had simple rules. If someone called for help, you helped. No debate. Back on the Varuan ship, things were getting worse. Fires spread in 2 sections. The reactor's energy flow weakened. Some crew were unconscious and needed urgent care. Captain Raltine stood near the main window, watching space twist as something approached. Then he saw it. A gray human ship dropped out of warp with a loud crack of energy. Its hull was large and angular, with heavy armor plates and glowing thrusters. The Varoon crew gasped and stepped back. "It's a Death Worlder warship," someone whispered. The Dravik fleet suddenly changed formation. They didn't fear many species, but they did fear humans. Still, they continued their attack, firing toward the Lunaris again. Before the Varoon could panic, the human ship moved between them and the raiders like a shield. Raltine stared in disbelief. They are protecting us?" A deep human voice echoed through the damaged speakers of the Varoon ship. "This is Captain Jordan Hale of the Solace 3. We received your distress call. Hold position. We're coming aboard to help." The Varoon crew nearly trembled. Humans were coming here? The airlock doors hissed as a boarding tube connected. The Varoon medical team waited nervously, not sure what to expect. When the human rescue squad stepped inside, the Varoon felt their hearts jump. Humans looked physically strong, far stronger than Varoon. Broad shoulders, firm steps, alert eyes. But instead of weapons, they carried medical scanners, repair tools, and emergency supplies. Jordan was the first to enter. His voice was calm. "Show us you're injured." His tone wasn't harsh. It wasn't proud. It was steady and warm, like someone used to crisis. Raltine stepped forward slowly. "You came to help us?" Jordan gave a small smile. "Of course. You called." We answered. The Varoon expected rough behavior, but the humans moved with surprising gentleness. They lifted debris carefully. They spoke softly to the injured. Their medical team worked fast, stabilizing broken limbs and sealing wounds with advanced foam. One Varoon engineer watched a human repair the reactor shield, amazed. "You are working even while the ship shakes." The human smiled lightly. "We've seen worse." To humans, danger was normal. To Varoon, it was unimaginable. During repairs, an alarm sounded again. The Dravik ships were returning for another attack run. Raltine panicked. "We cannot survive another hit." At that moment, Jordan stepped closer and said firmly, "You're safe. As long as we're here, they won't touch you." There was something powerful in his voice, not anger, not pride, just unbreakable confidence. The Varoon realized something strange. Humans didn't act like the violent predators described in old stories. They acted like protectors. Space outside flashed with enemy fire. The Solace 3 moved swiftly, blocking the shots and firing warning bursts. The battle was about to begin again, but this time the Varoon weren't alone. For the first time that day, Captain Raltine felt hope, because Deathworlders had arrived, and they came not as conquerors, but as rescuers. The Dravik raiders circled around like hungry predators preparing for a final strike. Their ships were dark and sharp, with red lights glowing like angry eyes. The Varoon crew watched from the damaged windows of the Lunaris, their bodies tense and their hearts shaking. They had never seen Dravik this aggressive. Usually the raiders only attacked weak transport ships, not scientific vessels. But today, the Dravik smelled easy treasure, and they refused to leave without it. In the middle of the danger, the human ship Solace 3 floated like a gray shield. It wasn't the largest vessel in the region, nor the most advanced, but it had something no other species understood fully: Deathworlder resolve. Inside the Varoon bridge, Captain Raltine, still recovering from shock, watched the Solace 3 take formation directly between the Dravik and his helpless ship. A Varoon officer whispered, "They are staying in front of us. Why? They owe us nothing." Raltine didn't know how to answer. Even he could barely understand it. Meanwhile, Inside the Solus 3, Captain Jordan Hale stood on the command deck, staring at the tactical display. His crew worked fast around him, checking shields, charging weapons, and monitoring the Varuan ship's status. Shields at 60%. One human officer reported. Jordan nodded. Reinforce the forward panels. The Dravik will target our front. Another officer looked up. Sir, we are outnumbered. Doesn't matter, Jordan replied calmly. We only need to hold long enough to fix the Varuan engines. Once they can jump, we all get out together. That confidence was strange to other species, but normal for humans. They were used to standing in impossible situations. The Dravik leader, a scarred raider named Krath, opened a channel. His voice echoed through both ships. Human vessel, stand aside. Our business is with the Varuan. Leave now, and we will ignore you. Jordan sighed softly. I'm afraid we can't do that. You defend prey that is not yours? Krath growled. We help anyone who asks, Jordan replied. That's enough reason. Krath laughed, a loud, harsh sound. Then you will fall with them. As the channel closed, the Dravik ships powered their weapons. The Varuan bridge shook. Several crew members covered their faces. One whispered, This is hopeless. We will all be destroyed. But when they looked at the Solus 3, they saw movement steady, confident movement. The human ship adjusted its angle, preparing for battle. Humans didn't run from danger. That was not their nature. The first wave of Dravik shots blasted forward. Bright streaks of red energy. They hit the Solus 3's shields, causing the human ship to tremble. Sparks flew inside the deck. Alarms beeped, but the humans didn't panic. Shields holding, the officer reported. Jordan gave a small nod. Return fire, controlled bursts. The Solus 3 fired 3 sharp pulses of light. They struck one Dravik ship's wing, pushing it sideways. It wasn't enough to disable them, but it made the raiders realize the humans were not easy prey. Inside the Lunaris, Varuan crew members watched the fight with wide eyes. They had always imagined humans fought wildly, with rage and chaos, but here they were, seeing something different. Humans fought with calm minds and focused discipline. A Varuan engineer whispered, They are so steady, even under fire. Another replied, How can they stay so calm? How can they think so clearly? Raltine answered softly, Because they come from a world where danger is normal. Humans adapt quickly. They don't freeze. The crew felt a strange sense of safety. Even though the battle raged only a short distance away, the Dravik launched their second attack wave, this one stronger. More shots struck the Solus 3. The ship rocked hard. A few human crew fell to the floor, but quickly stood up again. Jordan wiped blood from a small cut on his forehead and continued issuing orders. Stabilize the left thruster. Reroute power. Keep our front toward them. We hold the line. Even injured, he stayed controlled. His voice held no fear. The Varuan, watching from their ship, felt something shift inside them. They had feared humans for their strength, but now they respected humans for their courage. Meanwhile, a human repair team worked inside the Varuan engine room. Human engineer Mia Torres knelt beside the damaged stabilizer unit, using fast-cutting tools to remove broken parts. A Varuan mechanic watched anxiously. If the Dravik hit us again, the reactor might fail. Mia gave a small smile. Then we fix it faster. To humans, fear didn't slow them down, it pushed them forward. Another human, holding a scanner, said, Captain Jordan says we'll buy you enough time. Trust him. The Varuan mechanics exchanged uncertain glances. Trust Deathworlders? The idea felt impossible a few hours earlier. But now, maybe it wasn't. Back on the battlefield, the Dravik prepared their main cannon, a massive weapon with enough force to tear both ships apart. When the energy spike appeared on the screen, Jordan understood instantly. They're charging a heavy blast, he said. If that hits either ship, we're done. What do? The weapons officer asked. Jordan's mind moved quickly. Humans were known for sudden ideas, fast decisions, and wild plans that somehow worked. Prepare for a close-range intercept, he ordered. The officer blinked. Sir, that puts us directly in front of the cannon. Jordan nodded. Exactly. They won't expect that. The crew didn't question him. Humans trusted their leaders deeply in moments of danger. The Solace 3 shot forward, engines flaring bright. The Varuan gasped as the human ship moved toward the giant Dravik cannon instead of away from it. What are they doing? Someone cried. Raltine whispered. Something brave. Something no Varuan would ever attempt. The Dravik laughed through the open channel. Human fools? You run toward your doom? Jordan answered calmly. No. We run to stop you. At the last second, the Solace 3 tilted and fired its entire forward battery at the cannon's charging coils. The timing was perfect, almost impossible. A giant burst of white-blue energy exploded around the Dravik's main ship. Their cannon overloaded, sending shockwaves through their own fleet. One raider spun out of control, another lost power. The entire Dravik formation broke apart in confusion. The Varuan couldn't believe their eyes. Raltine stared in shock. They disabled the cannon without destroying the ship? Yes, said a Varun officer. They aimed only for the coils. Such accuracy. I have never seen it. Humans were dangerous, but they were not reckless. They fought with purpose, not cruelty. But the danger wasn't over. 3 smaller Dravik ships regrouped and began preparing another attack. The Solace 3 had taken heavy damage. Their shields were weaker now. Their engines were overheated. The Dravik realized this and moved in for what they believed would be the final strike. Inside the Solace 3, smoke filled the air. Some panels were broken. Several crew members held bleeding arms or bruised ribs. But no one stopped working. Sir, the engineer said, shields down to 20%. Understood, Jordan replied. We hold them off until the Varuan engines are ready. How long? Quote, 7 minutes, Jordan exhaled. Then we survive 7 minutes. To humans, time didn't scare them. It motivated them. He opened a channel to the Varuan ship. Captain Raltine, we're buying you those minutes. Tell your crew to finish the repairs. Raltine's voice trembled. Captain Jordan, you are risking your entire crew for us. Jordan's answer was simple. You called for help. That's enough. The Varuan bridge fell silent. For the first time, they understood what made humans different from every other species they had met. Humans didn't help because it was safe. Humans didn't protect because they were asked politely. Humans helped because someone needed saving, and they did it even when the cost was high. Outside, the Dravik made their final approach. Inside, the humans stood steady. And for the first time in Varuan history, a peaceful species understood what Deathworlders truly were. Not monsters, not dangers, but beings who faced the impossible and didn't run. The Dravik ships moved back into formation, their engines glowing a deep red as they prepared their final attack run. The Varuan crew watched quietly, fear spreading through them again. The Solace 3 had protected them bravely, but the human ship was badly damaged now. Its shields flickered like a candle in a storm, and its thrusters struggled to stay stable. To the Varuan, it looked impossible for the humans to hold out any longer. Inside the Lunaris engine room, human engineer Mia Torres wiped sweat from her forehead. Her hands were covered in dust and metal fragments. But she didn't slow down. The Varuan stabilizer core lay open in front of her, wires exposed, energy circuits broken. She worked with her tools while 2 Varuan engineers followed her instructions. Hold the beam steady, Mia said. One Varuan held a glowing rod in place while she welded a fresh energy coil onto it. The other Varuan watched with amazement. Human, why do you work so fast? Aren't you afraid the Dravik will break through? Mia spoke without stopping her repairs. Fear doesn't help anyone. Finish the job, then we survive. The Varuan exchanged a look. They had never met anyone who thought this way. To them, fear meant freeze or hide. But humans carried fear like a small weight on their shoulders. They felt it. But they didn't let it stop them. At that moment, a heavy vibration shook the Lunaris hull. The Dravik were testing their aim again. The lights flickered. The Varuan panicked. But Mia simply said, almost done. Don't panic now. Her calmness spread through the room. The Varuun engineers controlled their breathing and focused. Humans had a strange power, the ability to steady others just by standing strong. Inside the Solace 3 bridge, Captain Jordan Hale studied the tactical map. His ship was cracked in several places, and his crew was tired. But their eyes were still sharp. Humans had faced worse on their homeworld: storms, predators, disasters. Compared to that, space battles felt familiar. His first officer, Lyra Chen, stood beside him. "Sir, 3 Dravik ships are moving to flank us." "I see it," Jordan said. "They're trying to hit our engine block. If they disable us, neither ship can escape." Jordan took a slow breath. The situation was bad, but he stayed calm. "We'll adjust. Move power to the rear shields." "But our front shields." "Rear shields," Jordan repeated softly. "Trust me." Lyra nodded. Humans trusted their captains in moments like this. Their instincts were often correct. The Solace 3 shifted position. The human crew coordinated quickly. Their voices steady even when alarms flashed red across the bridge. The Dravik fired. A blast hit the rear shield exactly where Jordan expected. The impact shook the ship so hard that several crew members fell, but the Solace 3 stayed standing. Jordan whispered, "That was close." His crew smiled. Even in danger, their spirits held strong. On the Varuan ship, Captain Raltine stared at the human ship through the main viewport. "Why do they take so many hits for us?" "They should flee," a young Varuan scientist answered in a quiet voice. "Because that is who humans are." Raltine turned. "What do you mean?" The scientist swallowed. "I studied their history once. Humans always protect those who cannot fight. Even if it hurts them. Even if it costs them. They always stand up. Also 5. Everyone of really to bout. Also 5 mice. OBU. Also 5 mai. Also 5 mice my bidet 1. Raltine listened in silence. The stories he had heard about humans were always dark stories of danger, storms, and harsh survival. But none of those stories explained something important. Humans had learned kindness through suffering. They didn't become protectors by accident. They became protectors because their world forced them to grow strong hearts. A new alarm sounded on the Solace 3. "Captain," the weapons officer said, "the Dravik are charging their secondary cannons. They'll fire in 2 minutes. Jordan tapped his console. 2 minutes was not enough time for repairs unless something changed. He opened a channel to the Varuan. "Captain Raltine, I need an update. How long until your engine stabilizer is ready?" In the Varuan engine room, Mia Torres heard the question and shouted, "Tell him 3 minutes." Raltine repeated it. 3 minutes. "Captain Jordan." Jordan's jaw tightened. "We don't have 3 minutes." Raltine closed his eyes. He didn't want to say it, but the truth was clear. "Then we will fall before we can escape." "No," Jordan said firmly. "We won't. Humans don't fall that easily." He ended the call and turned to his crew. "All right, we hold for 3 minutes. No matter what." The humans didn't argue. They simply nodded and prepared. Jordan scanned the battle display again. The Solace 3 was too weak now for a full fight. They needed something else. Something creative. That was one more strange human trait. When conditions became impossible, their minds became sharper. Humans invented new solutions in the darkest moments. Jordan suddenly said, "Wait, Varuan stabilizer tech." Lyra frowned. "Sir? If we combine their stabilizer energy with our shield matrix, we can generate a temporary pulse, enough to disable the Dravik weapons without harming them." "But how do we link the systems?" Lyra asked. "We have no direct connection between ships." Jordan looked at the engineering display. "I need a micro-frequency bridge. Tell Mia to prepare one." Lyra opened a channel. "Engineer Torres, we need a frequency bridge between our shield matrix and the Varuan stabilizer." Mia blinked. "Between ships? That's risky and unstable." Jordan's voice came through. "Can you do it?" Mia smiled tiredly. "Of course I can do it." Humans were like that. When someone said impossible, humans translated it as try harder. In the Varuan engine room, Mia worked even faster. She attached a small transmitter device onto the stabilizer core. The Varuan engineers hurried beside her, handing tools, adjusting cables, learning human improvisation techniques as fast as they could. One Varuan asked, "Human, how do your people learn to stay calm under pressure?" Mia tapped her chest lightly. "Lots of practice. Our world forces us to face danger every day. We get used to it." The Varuans stared at her with a mixture of respect and awe. To them, humans felt like living storms, strong, fierce, but full of purpose. A moment later, Mia shouted, "Stabilizer is ready." Jordan received the signal. "Good work," he said. "Now let's finish this." He activated the energy link. The Varuan stabilizer glowed bright blue. At the same time, the Solace 3 shield matrix lit up with white lines. The combined systems created a pulsing wave between the two ships. It was unstable, powerful, and risky, but it was their only chance. Jordan raised his hand. "Fire the pulse." A shockwave of blue-white energy burst outward, spreading across the battlefield. It hit the Dravik ships instantly. Their engines flickered. Their cannons shut down. Their navigation went offline. Inside their lead ship, Krath shouted in anger, "What is this? Why can't we fire?" His crew panicked. "Our systems are disabled. We are helpless." Krath slammed his fist on the control panel. "Humans, they did this." For the first time, the Dravik understood something very important. Humans were not dangerous because of weapons. They were dangerous because of ideas. The pulse faded slowly. The battlefield became silent. The Dravik ships floated powerless, unable to fight. The Varuans stared across space, stunned. They had never seen something so bold, so creative, or so daring. Captain Raltine whispered, "Humans, you are truly something else." Jordan finally exhaled. His ship was shaking, his crew exhausted, and their systems nearly failing, but they were alive. He checked the timer. 3 minutes passed, he said softly. "And the Varuan engines are stable," Lyra reported. Jordan smiled. "Then let's go home." As the combined ships prepared for the escape jump, the Varuan crew couldn't stop watching the Solace 3. They had feared Deathworlders. They had judged humans by old stories. But now they had seen the truth. Humans didn't win because they were violent. Humans won because they refused to give up. Their minds were brave. Their hearts were stronger. Raltine knew his people would never forget this day. Approx. 1,250 words. Simple, basic English. Third person. Violated free. The battlefield slowly calmed after the energy pulse. The Dravik ships drifted in silence, their weapons offline and their engines dark. Their red lights had dimmed, leaving them floating like wounded predators who finally understood they were not the strongest creatures in space. Inside the Varuan vessel Lunaris, the crew stood together near the main viewing window. For the first time since the attack began, there was no fear on their faces, only shock, relief, and deep respect. Captain Raltine stared at the Solace 3 with trembling eyes. The human ship was damaged everywhere. Its main hull had burn scars, its shields were flickering, and parts of the exterior plating hung loose. Yet, even in this broken state, the ship looked strong like a warrior standing tall after a long fight. Raltine spoke softly. "They saved us. Even when they were almost destroyed themselves." A Varuan officer nodded. "Yes, Captain. Humans risked everything." Another added, "And they never asked for anything in return." For a peaceful species like the Varuan, this was difficult to understand. Their culture believed in careful planning, safe decisions, and avoiding danger. But humans lived differently. Humans stepped into danger to help others, even strangers. Raltine said, "Open a channel to the Solace 3. I must speak to them." On the Solace 3, things were chaotic. Engineers were running between stations. Medic teams carried injured crew members. Sparks fell from open panels. But even with all the damage, the humans continued working with steady minds. Jordan Hale, the human captain, leaned against a support beam, trying to catch his breath. His face had dirt smudges and a cut near his jaw. but his eyes still held the same calm strength. "Shields holding at 5%, an officer reported. Jordan nodded. "Good. As long as they don't take another hit, we're fine." "Communication from the Varuan ship," another officer said. "Put it through." Ralteen's gentle face appeared on the flickering screen. "Captain Jordan, we owe you our lives. My crew, my research vessel. Everything, we owe it all to your bravery." Jordan gave a small smile. "You don't owe us anything. You called for help," we answered. Ralteen lowered his head slightly, the Varuan gesture of deep respect. "We were told Deathworlders were unpredictable and dangerous. But today, you protected us with courage and kindness. You showed us a side of humanity we never understood." Jordan shook his head. "Courage is not special, Captain. Anyone can be brave when someone needs saving." Ralteen blinked slowly, touched by the simplicity of Jordan's words. To humans, these things were ordinary. To Varuan, they were extraordinary. "Thank you," Ralteen said softly. "We will never forget this." Jordan replied gently. "What matters now is getting everyone home safely. Are your engines ready for the jump?" "Channel." "Yes," Ralteen answered. "Your engineer worked wonders." Mia Torres, standing nearby, let out a tired laugh. "It wasn't magic. Just teamwork." Jordan nodded. "Good. Then prepare to jump on my signal." Both ships aligned their flight paths. The damaged Solace 3 moved slowly, but the Varuan ship kept close, matching its speed perfectly. "Jump engines ready," the human navigator reported. Jordan raised his hand. "Jump in 3, 2, 1. Execute." A wave of blue light spread across both ships as they shifted through hyperspace. The stars bent, stretched, and disappeared. In that moment, all the fear, all the tension, and all the danger were left behind in the empty void. When the ships emerged, they were near a safe Varuan outpost, Kallian Station. The outpost burst into activity the moment the two ships appeared. Rescue vessels rushed forward. Medics boarded the Solace 3 to help treat human injuries. Engineers helped stabilize damaged systems. Varuan citizens gathered near observation windows, whispering in amazement. The sight shocked them all. A peaceful Varuan ship returning home under the protection of a battered human vessel. Stories traveled fast in the galaxy, but this story would spread faster than most. When Jordan stepped off the Solace 3, Varuan officers approached him in a respectful line. They bowed their heads, expressing gratitude. Many wanted to speak, but words didn't feel enough. One Varuan scientist stepped forward and said, "Captain Jordan, I feared Deathworlders for my entire life. But today, you helped us. Without hesitation. You fought for us as if we were your own people." Jordan replied softly. "You were in danger. That is enough." The Varuan looked at him with disbelief. How could any species be so direct and selfless? Another Varuan officer touched Jordan's arm gently. "Your crew's bravery will be written in our records for generations." Jordan smiled. "Just make sure you take care of your research ship. She deserves a safer route next time." Ralteen approached, carrying a small ceremonial badge made of crystal. "This is the Varuan Star of Gratitude," he said. "It is given only to those who perform actions of great courage for our people." Jordan shook his head. "I don't need a reward, but we want to give it," Ralteen insisted, his voice warm. "Not as payment. As respect." Jordan paused, then nodded. "All right, thank you." Ralteen placed the badge gently into his hands. The Varuan crowd clapped softly, a peaceful species way of cheering. Later, inside Kallian Station's meeting chamber, the Varuan High Council held an emergency session. They reviewed recordings, testimonies, and sensor logs of the battle. One council member said, "These humans risked everything. They defended a species they barely know." Another added, "Their ship was greatly damaged, yet they never abandoned the Varuan vessel." A third counselor whispered, "We feared Deathworlders for so long. Perhaps we were wrong." The council leader spoke firmly. "We must reconsider our relationship with Earth. If this is how humans respond to strangers in danger, then we should welcome them as allies, not avoid them in fear. With a unanimous vote, the Varuun decided to open new diplomatic ties with the Terra Union. Meanwhile, aboard the Solace 3, Jordan walked through his ship, checking on injured crew. Some were resting, some were bandaged, and some were still working despite their pain. He paused at the engineering bay, where Mia Torres sat on a crate, exhausted. "You did great today," Jordan said. Mia smiled weakly. "We all did." "Oh." He nodded. "Rest. You earned it." She laughed softly. "You too, Captain." Jordan walked toward the main viewport. Outside, the stars shined calmly, far different from the chaos they had survived. Lyra Chen joined him. "Sir, the Varuun High Council sent a message. They want to start an alliance with Earth." Jordan raised an eyebrow. "Really? Because of us?" Lyra smiled. "It seems you impressed them." Jordan looked out at the stars again, quiet for a long moment. "We didn't do anything special. We only answered a call. That's exactly why they respect us," Lyra replied. Jordan took a slow breath. "If this helps bring peace, then it was worth it." He turned toward his crew, tired, bruised, but proud. They had stood against raiders. They had protected the Varuun. They had done what humans always did: best help, defend, and endure. Across the station, Varuun children pointed at the Solace 3 and whispered, "Those are the humans who saved our people." The story had already begun spreading, and soon, across many systems, one message would become a new legend. When the Varuun called for help, it was the Deathworlders who answered. Not as monsters, not as threats, but as protectors with brave hearts.